What's up, good people? Watch the game sports. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
Yo, yo.
Pen, we just coming on for context sake today. Coming down. And it's time for March Madness.
Yep, next
Some of the
week.
NBA standings. Um, Questionable topic, man. And this is one of the things that and I've been very busy over most recent. And we haven't had a chance to go on. You have been busy yourself as well. But as I keep up with the college basketball action, um, the Big 12 is they like having some really big matchups every night.
Yeah.
Since the last time we talked, Michigan went down to Duke and in Washington D.C. and Duke has taken over the number one ranking. The top four teams in the country is Duke, Michigan, um,
Arizona, two.
Arizona, and their fourth team might be a wild card. Some would say
Is
Houston,
it UConn?
maybe UConn. I think right now you number 5, 6 in the country. But some questions I got to ask you tonight that we generally pretty much we got a week left. We in the last week of the regular basketball season for college basketball. The conference tournaments will be kicking off next week. So most teams got at least one or two games left on the schedule. One thing I had to think about was who would you think would be the player of the year regular season in college basketball? My my guess would be maybe Cameron Boozer, another freshman. Duke being ranked number one in the country. That's one thing right now. When we get to this part of the season, we traditionally we would have a two names pop up,
Yeah.
and I'm just without being in that loop and just keeping up with that tracking that news in general. Cameron Boozer comes to mind, especially of the last 2 weeks. Darren Peterson was under much criticism after he missed games and for Kansas, and
Yeah, that's gonna take him.
Kansas has been up and down the last couple of weeks. But I don't know if I want to say Darren Peterson is the player of the year. AJ DeBond probably the number one pick in this upcoming NBA
But he not gonna get it.
draft,
Yeah.
and BYU has have really been battle tested in the Big 12, and I really don't know if I can say AJ DeBonza is the number one, the best player in the country. It's an interesting question, isn't
I
it?
mean, I think a lot of the guys like Darren Peterson, if he played and he didn't have all this, load managing or whatever missing games reason around him, if he was just out there on the floor, I think he would be have a stronger case. I don't think he's going to get it just because he had too much negative pub around him.
Yeah,
AJ DeBansa, ever since Richie Saunders went down, BYU been struggling. I think they just got smacked by Cincinnati, damn near by double digits, almost by 20. Last night
yes,
they lost to Cincinnati. I think they are now like either 500 in conference, Big 12 conference play, or maybe 8, 9. Um, I'm sure they still gonna get in the tournament because AJ DeBansa, that's a name, so they gonna make the tournament. But if Cam Boozer, he has a strong case. Lindenberg from Michigan, with them being the number 3 team in the nation, only losing what 2 games so far, I think.
hmm
He's pretty much a nightly double machine. Um, he's in the running, but I just think Michigan is a really good team, so that's probably going to rule him out. So it's probably going to end up being Cam Boozer. But I mean, you got JT Toppin from Texas Tech, um, Joshua Jefferson
but
from.
JT Toppin didn't isn't he out for the season?
Let me see here. I
That
know he was
name
the
rings a
main.
bell. I've heard a lot of that name, but I think he might be out for the season. I know
Okay.
Texas Tech, I think it's Texas Tech, had a key player go down for the remainder of the season.
JT
And
Toppin.
maybe this happened a couple of weeks ago.
Well,
I'm
it
not
just
sure if
say
it's
he
JT
out for
Toppin.
the Final Four, yeah, without JT Toppin, yeah. So he out. So
So
then
he's
that
out for
take
the
him out.
season.
Yeah, that take him
So
out.
that kind of takes him out of the running for player of the year. That name has been a real big buzz name. Texas Tech has been playing some good basketball. And that's just like I say, off the top of my dome, that's one of the most interesting things is that who's going to be the player of the year in college basketball. And Duke is playing really well. I mean, they had a big victory over Michigan, but I don't know if I want to give them the nod to say they're going to win the national championship either because last year's team was pretty good, went to the tournament, playing really well, and then I think they went down to was it to Houston? Um, they were really tested. Houston real physical, kind of warmed down. But I think that Michigan matchup with Duke was a really good matchup for both teams. And you questioned whether or not, and we didn't know at that time it was going to be a neutral zone, a neutral site,
Yeah.
but it was in Washington D.C. I thought it was going to be in Cameron Indoor, and it was played more like in a tournament atmosphere. And Duke came away with the victory.
Yeah, I think Duke ended up winning that. It was nip and tuck pretty much all the whole game. I remember Michigan couldn't make shots outside of Yaks, and I think they ended up winning that game by 4 or 5 points, something like that. It was close, and then Duke has been at top of the top 25 since then. That game was what, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Um, but like you said, that game being in Washington D.C. In the other house that Michael Jordan built, the Washington Wizards, it being
Say it
there
again.
in the other house Michael Jordan built, the
Oh,
Washington
okay.
Wizards. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
being a neutral site game.
yeah.
Um, as a Michigan fan, I walked away encouraged. Again, neutral site game. You only won by a handful of points. Michigan didn't play their best game. They know what to expect if they run into them again. So um, I can see Duke. I can see Duke stubbing that toe. Um, and when not conference, when the tournament begins. But I expect them to at least be, Sweet 16 and beyond.
Yeah, Duke has I think they just recently beat North Carolina State pretty decisively, and I think they got Carolina, North Carolina, the rematch with North Carolina.
Is
Um,
Caleb gonna play that game?
that's the
Out.
thing. I was gonna bring that up. Caleb Wilson, I'm not sure, but I think he's close to coming back. I'm not sure if he'll be playing in that game, that Duke and North Carolina game. I think it will be played in Cameron Indoor. The first game was played in the Dean Dome down in North Carolina in Chapel Hill, and Carolina won that game at the buzzer with a big shot at the buzzer to win that game, a big three.
Yeah,
This rivalry always, no matter records, throw the records out, throw the rankings out. Duke and North Carolina always have a really big matchup. Now, it's always a pretty good game. Now, can Carolina go into? They're playing good basketball without Caleb Wilson. I think they were like 5-1 without Caleb Wilson lately, and now they get ready to go into Cameron Indoor. Maybe he comes back, maybe he doesn't. Um, but the couple teams that may not be in your top four that may be dark horses, in my opinion, North Carolina might be one. Being that they haven't played with Caleb Wilson as of late. They probably developed another different type of chemistry. How he'll add to that the chemistry coming back, will he just be plug and play, and the team continues to play well? I think it's a great possibility, but North Carolina is one of those teams that might be on the outside looking in. Most definitely, maybe in my opinion, a top 10 team going into the tournament. In my opinion, I'm not sure of their ranking right now. but most definitely one of the top teams, traditional teams going into the tournament. Now, one team that is had its ups and downs, and I wasn't really high on them going into the season. And it came into the regular season ranked number one in the country was Purdue, and Purdue has certainly taken their licks this season.
Yeah.
I think they most recently lost to Michigan State, and then they just lost another game to someone else. I can't quite remember who they lost to in their last outing. Tonight
I
they got
know
Northwestern in Evanston.
they lost to no. I know they dropped like.
No. They got Northwestern tonight,
Oh, okay, okay,
but
okay.
they've dropped a couple of big games. They lost to Michigan State at home, and then I'm trying to think who else did they just recently lost to someone else maybe a couple days ago. Um,
Yeah, I know they had fell down.
Wisconsin. They lost to
Yeah,
Wisconsin on Sunday. Wisconsin needing a big game. They beat the Boilermakers in Madison. And like I said, Indiana's been taking it on the chin as of late. Um, so if I'm comparing the two programs, North Carolina playing pretty good, but out there probably their best player. I'm favoring them to maybe even make a Final Four run. I wouldn't be surprised. And if Purdue don't get it together, I can see them out in the second round the way they're playing.
yeah. Purdue, like you said, they lost to Michigan State. Then they lost to Ohio State on the road. Like you said, they
Yeah, it
got
was
no.
Ohio State was the team they
Yeah,
just reached. Ohio State. I know it was one of the teams that
the
wore
red.
red and white, but on Sunday they did lose to Ohio State. Thanks for correcting me on that because I watched that game a few days ago. And right now, like I said earlier, I'm getting a little bit under the weather. I'm gonna try and get ahead of that. But just my thoughts on some of the top teams going into this March Madness in a couple weeks. Election Sunday will be coming up soon, and those are maybe a couple teams that I want to take a look at. Carolina, I'm favoring them to make a good deep run, and then Purdue. I wouldn't be surprised if they're out in the second round. Now they're capable of going to the Final Four, most certainly, but if they don't answer these questions going down the stretch of the inconsistent play, I mean, when you start matching up with some of these out of conference foes, Purdue has traditionally in the tournament now, they're not too many years removed from a Final Four and a national championship game. I think they went up
And a
against
first round exit.
UConn. Yeah. Well, this team is probably, in my opinion, playing right now. They look like more of a second round exit. And traditionally, they've had problems with the physical guards and the smaller, quicker teams. The more energetic, strong, quick teams, not so much big. Purdue always has a couple big guys. I think the kid's name right now, number 4, is Clough, I think is his name. I think he's about 6'8", 6'9". And I do think they have another big comes off the bench. But traditionally, you know, and I like Brayton Smith, but I just question if he could will this team to a Final Four. I put it this way: if Purdue makes it to the Final Four, it'll be overachieving,
Oh,
and that's crazy
1,000%.
because they were number one coming into the season.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make it out the first weekend. So anything out of the first weekend is an overachievement to me. Um,
Yeah.
and Braden Smith is funny you brought him up. Is that dude? Is this his last year? Because this dude didn't play about 7 years of college basketball.
I I believe it is. Um, he's he's he needs to play more games. If he can get more games in, if he can have a nice tournament run, Big Ten run, the Big Ten tournament, and a nice run in the tournament itself, he could leave Purdue passing up Danny Hurley as which Hurley was it that was at Duke?
At Duke, Bobby
The
Hurt.
Hurley that played with
Bobby Hurt.
Leitner.
Yeah, that
Bobby
was Bobby
Hurley.
Hurt.
Bobby
Yeah.
Hurley. Danny is the coach at UConn, right?
Yeah.
So Bobby Hurley is the all-time assist in college basketball. Braden Smith is I think he's at third right now, and if he can get enough games in, he can close in and probably pass up Bobby Hurley. I think that's a record that's probably held up for maybe since 93, 93, 94, maybe. I think 93, 94 is when
But it's
Danny Hurley,
though, because Bobby did his in a legit what 3 or
Bobby
4
Hurley. I mean,
years.
go
Bobby,
ahead.
yeah, and I know Braden Smith. This got to be like his 5th year play.
I'm not sure about that, but I know he's been there long enough to be on track to get Bobby Hurley. That's why in the assist leader and all time assist leaders in college basketball. And if he does that, that record's going to stand for a while because no one sticks around as long. Look how long it's been look how long it's been since the record was set back in I think Bobby Hurley finished up in like 93,
Yeah,
you know. And Braden Smith could, if he can get enough games under his belt, it's going to take a really good tournament run, Big Ten tournament, and a really good run in the national in the NCAA tournament, and he could be the all time leading assist leader in college basketball history. So he's a 5th year senior. It was time well spent because really, I don't being a top notch NBA guard. But I said the same thing about Zach Edey coming out of
and he
Purdue. I didn't
and he's
think
still
that
on the roster. Yeah,
at that time, I didn't think the NBA played to his strength. But I think the Memphis Grizzlies have did the best they could to play to his strengths, and I think he's did the best he could to stretch his game out to the perimeter a little bit because that's pretty much where the NBA game is with stretch fours and the big guys that play in the NBA today. But Braden Smith, he's definitely an undersized guard at the next level. I can see him being an early G League player, and he'll probably finish his. I could probably see him finishing his career overseas. Now, Braden Smith, if there's any systems in the NBA that he may
he can
fit,
afford it.
it may be the Boston Celtics.
Is he gonna take minutes away from what's the kid they got Pritchard?
Yeah, and that's the guy I'm thinking about. What I'm saying
Yeah,
is maybe not right away, but a few years down the line, I can see a guy like Braden Smith playing in a system like that, or maybe even in the future, maybe even the Pacers. Maybe they'll give him a try. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the home state team will give him an opportunity to play NBA in Indiana with the Pacers.
he come to Miami. We ain't doing nothing. We just putting people out there for cardio. So come on down to Miami. We ain't trying to win no championship or nothing.
Now, you know what? Like I said, we just chopping it up tonight. And now that you say that, Miami, and for strange reason, it brought up Jonathan Kaminga in his most recent performances, and I think he's in Atlanta,
Yeah,
putting up
Atlanta.
pretty good performances. And most of the critics would always wonder why he wasn't getting opportunities in Golden State, and with the Hawks, they're winning, and I think he's been coming off the bench, but the adding up, and the production is going along right along with it, and it makes you wonder, you know, just because at one point in time, the Golden State they developed guys pretty well,
Yeah,
but I think with
early in that
Jonathan
dynasty
Kaminga,
run. Yeah.
say again,
I said early in the Warriors dynasty run, they was good at developing players. I mean, you got to think about Guys like Sean Livingston, we thought his career was done. He was a big factor for him. Leandro Barbosa, I believe he
Yeah.
was on that team. Like they was
Hmm.
taking guys and getting the most out of them. They got David
Yeah.
West, Spates, all these
Yeah.
guys that was able to plug in and get productive minutes out of. And
Hmm.
then it's right around the time maybe they got Andrew Wiggins. You kind of saw
Yeah.
that like the development of players kind of take a step back.
Hmm. And with Jonathan Kaminga, he's like none of those guys we talked about. He's an athletic player, and maybe it was his ability, lack thereof, to shoot the basketball. This was traditionally what the Golden State Warriors were known for, because not so much with the 3-point game, but those guys you named, Livingston, he was a mid range guy.
Yeah,
He got you in the mid range. He got you in the low post. He was a big long rangey guard. I think he's about 6'6", 6'7". Would take you down low. And he had a really high shooting percentage because he didn't shoot a lot of threes. He just sliced you up in the mid range, and every once in a while he'd go down in the post. And it would, you named another guard.
Barbosa.
Barbosa was more with the Golden State. He was more of a defensive guy. Yeah, he played his game was more. I guess you could say his game was about mid range too, as well, because the Splash Brothers,
Yeah,
and
they
that's the
was
big misconception that you have with the Golden State Warriors that kind of set the league up to where it is today. People forget how efficient that team was in the mid range. Now
yeah,
Clay and Steph, and occasionally at that time, occasionally,
Dre.
um, yeah, occasionally, Draymond would hit some threes. I don't think he's the shooter now. And he probably was a better shooter then, and maybe that's a lack of focus and pretty much not putting the work in that area of development of his game. But Kaminga was he's totally different from all of those guys. He's more athletic, and I think that might have been a problem of just not knowing how to play him in that situation. Um, he's one of the pogo stick type players. He's a high energy guy, can do some special things athletically. He just probably wasn't the best shooter. And I don't think he played enough minutes to become the defender that he was probably capable of being with that athleticism.
Well, yeah, and too, they still trying to squeeze a little bit more juice out of this
Yeah,
core, even though they
yeah,
done lost Clay, but they added Jimmy, and now Jimmy's done with a knee injury or something like that. He's done for the year, and it was talk about them being active at the trade deadline, but I think until they kind of move off of the core, I don't think any of those guys really gonna get a fair shake because they holding on to what was. We see Kaminga, like I said, making a great impact with the Hawks. I see the Hawks are 10th right now in the East. So if the play-in tournament or whatever the hell it's called, they would be they would be in it. They would have a shot. Uh, the Hornets are 9, Miami's 8, and then Orlando is 7. So I think it's 7 through 10 play for the play-in tournament. So I mean, he's making an impact. I know the Hawks wasn't up that high before, and they moved off Trey Young, and then I think they moved off somebody else at the trade deadline too. So maybe things are starting to look back up for the Hawks. Maybe Kaminga can turn into, I don't want to say an all-star, but what they think he could be, what he was projected to be at Golden State. But I mean, Atlanta's just, I never thought they was really a good organization. So it'll be
yeah,
interesting to see how he develops, because it's easy for him to go out there and use his athletic gifts and just run up and down and just run up and down. But when it's time to like really focus in, really play smart basketball, make great decisions, are they going to be able to develop him in that way, or are we going to see him shine in that way in big leverage basketball moments? We don't know that yet.
yeah. With Kaminga, I think it's more about the opportunity, figuring out his niche as he plays more minutes. but I think he can be more like Dominique Wilkins was back in the day with the Atlanta Hawks. If they put some guys around him to the point where they'll be contenders, and he could be that type of ball player. Now, that style of game really isn't conducive to what they do right now. So he's definitely going to have to extend his range and shooting. But when I say Dominique, I think he can be more like defensively and a guy that finishes plays in that fashion. Probably not as exciting, probably not even as effective, as productive. But I think he can be the poor man's Dominique in Atlanta
I'll buy
with
that.
the right system.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll buy that. He can be Josh Smith.
Yeah, yeah. The standings in the NBA, in the East, Detroit at 45-15 at the top of the East. Um,
that just
Oklahoma
brings that
City
just brings back
at the
bad
top of the
memories.
West, 48-15. Say that again.
It brings back bad memories to see Detroit at the top of the East standings for me. I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't get over the bad boy Pistons.
Yeah, I can, as days goes on, I can respect. I have a lot more respect for what those bad boy Pistons did, especially when I look at the game today. I mean, not so much what their reputation was with the rough basketball and some of the hard fouls and stuff like that. That's the area they played in. But the when you think about the stretch fours and big centers, you have to think about guys like Bill Laimbeer. You go back to that time in the late '80s, early '90s. Bill Lambert was that guy. He was a physical player, one of the enforcers, but he stick that J. He
Yeah,
step out to the three and he'd hit that three. And you got more players like that looking like Bill Lambert today. And that's why I got a lot of respect for what they did. And even at that time, we wasn't we hated the Pistons.
yeah,
And if you was a Bulls fan, but as I gotten older and I've watched the NBA, the evolution of the game, which I respect, but the way they played the game outside of the physicality, some of the unnecessary stuff, I do have a lot more respect for what the Pistons did back then at this time. But so Detroit's at the top. Boston's right behind them at 41-20. And I think Jason Tatum's close to coming back. It's been a big topic of discussion, big time. I've been listening to a lot of sports talk radio, early morning drive radio coming out of Boston, and they have real expectations in Boston for Jason's return if it's going to be anytime soon, and it's a ramp up thing. It's like don't come in trying to do too much, maybe some minutes restriction. And with the team being second overall in the East, which is something we probably didn't think with the Boston Celtics going into this season, bringing Tatum back, maybe not be asking him to do much, but probably do about 70 to 80% of himself. If he could be 70 to 80% of what he normally is, um, the Boston Celtics may have a case. Now, I question not his offensive ability. I'm going to question his defense coming off this. I think he had an Achilles injury.
yeah,
That's what I think is going to be his um, toughest challenge coming back at this time. Number one is conditioning, and number two is just staying in front of NBA caliber twos, threes, and maybe even sometimes fours night after night at this portion of the season because it's pretty late. The conditioning factor is probably going to be really high on anybody he's guarding,
yeah.
and his conditioning and his ability to stay in front of guys is probably going to be more important than his offense alone.
If it's me, I probably wouldn't risk bringing him back. I mean, they're 41-20. When you bring him back, you do introduce the element of upsetting the chemistry that they currently got going on. Because I mean, if Jason Tatum's out there, I don't care if it's in a limited role. That's shots that he's getting that's taken away from somebody.
Yeah, but something tells me that they'll gauge this thing because they've been gauging it with his ramp up process.
Yeah,
And if they stay at number two, they probably get a favorable matchup in the first round of the playoffs. In those the end of the season, in those first few rounds, if they find I don't see maybe I shouldn't say that because the NBA is the one league that I don't agree with it all the time. Like when a superstar comes back, they automatically throws them back into the star lineup, and I don't really agree with that. And I don't agree with that in the case of Jason Tatum. Is that kind of bring it along slowly, maybe off the bench, and I'm pretty sure no matter if he starts or not, he's going to have a minutes restriction. But me myself personally, when you talk about chemistry, that concerns me is if they bring him back, how will they bring him back? Will they bring him back as a starter? And I think, in my opinion, they can be kind of risky for what you talked about, which is chemistry and just offensive flow. And like me personally, I question his defense, his ability to play defense with his conditioning and coming off the injury. That's going to be interesting.
I mean, the Celtics, great organization first. Let's start there. Like, so we gotta at least give them the benefit of the doubt. They know what they're doing. Even when Brad Stevens stepped down and who took over him, the coach that's in the Rockets now, Ime Uduka, whatever his name is. I was like,
Yeah,
okay, so they not finna win nothing. And what he do? He take them right to the finals. And
yeah,
then he getting a little scandal, and they bring in Joe Mazzulla. I'm like, okay, they ain't finna do nothing. What they do? They go right back to the East Finals. So
yeah.
they, as an organization, they know what they're doing. But like we just said, chemistry. That's a big part of it. They 41-20. Do they need Jason Tatum to win a championship? Yes.
I
But you know,
believe. See, this is my thing. I don't. I think if they were out of it, if they were where we were, if they were where we thought they would be right now,
yeah,
no one expected the Celtics would be the number two seed, the number two team, possibly even having more time to take over that number one seed in the East. If that wasn't the case, I don't think we'd be talking about him returning. But see, this is the thing: if you're getting, if you're close to making a playoff run, you want just for the experience and opportunity alone for all of your top notch superstars to be in on that bid. And I think, like I said, going down to the end of the season, gauging his performance, I think that they're going to take it day to day. And when you get to the playoffs, maybe series by series, matchup by matchup, and Jason Tatum's impact may not be as big as me and you think. Uh, but just to be a part of that team and they make a deep run, I don't think he want to sit that opportunity out, and I don't think that the organization wants him
right.
in that predicament either. And I think on a game to game basis, they're going to uh, watch this thing very closely, and I think he may have some games where he's going to look like he shouldn't be out there, and at the same time, I think he's going to have some games where he gonna look like he back. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
so but I think they'll gauge that as they go, and because we've seen them do this with Porzingis, if you remember,
Yeah. When they
on
run
the
it.
championship team, I
Yeah.
think they used him as needed. And if the matchup wasn't necessary, they didn't play him as much. And I think you could say the same thing about Tatum.
But the only thing is, Porzingis was really a luxury in
Yeah,
that role. Like he was like their fourth scorer. Remember, they had Drew Holiday, they had Derek White, they had Jalen Brown, and they had Tatum. So Porzingis was really an extra luxury at that point. I don't think this team is that deep where Jason Tatum is a luxury. They gonna need him to win.
Let me bring up a scenario to you that you just brought something. You brought that word luxury, and
Yeah,
it brought back to mind the comeback that happened years ago in 1995
Michael Jordan.
when Michael Jordan simply said he's back.
I was thinking that too.
Now, Jason Tatum, I don't want to put Jason Tatum in that stratosphere, but it could kind of be that same type of plug and play. And the reason why I'm saying this is because when Jordan came back, the Bulls were a contending team. But when Jordan came back, they looked for Jordan to be Mike like 2 weeks in.
Yeah,
And that might have been their downfall at the end of that season. Now, don't get me wrong, because the Bulls did have some deficiencies rebounding because Horace Grant at that time was with the Magic. But this is a comparable, in my opinion. I think Jason Tatum coming back at this point of the season, if he was to do so, probably is going to be, and no question in my mind, it's comparable to Michael Jordan coming back in 95. Now, the question is like you said, and I probably agree, is what what are they going to be expecting now? If they do what the Bulls did with Mike, I think they'll get the same results. But I
yeah.
don't think they're going to do that.
Just memory. Mike came back. He played 17 games that season. They was 13-4 when he came back. Like you said, he had some nights where he looked like he back. We remember the game winner he hit in Atlanta, the 55 in the Garden. Like we remember,
Yeah,
he had
yeah,
the nights, but he also had some nights like, damn, he missing layups. Like what's going
yeah.
on?
And he had some nights where his conditioning didn't look so hot, and
Yeah,
yeah, and that's what I question, the conditioning of Jason Tatum. Um, Looking out east, and then you can even talk about. We talked about the most outstanding player in college basketball, the player of the year, the toss up on that. And I think OKC is the top team in the West right now. And
San Antonio right on their heels though.
yeah, but the MVP race in the NBA is a lot more marketable. They make sure they get some front runners by this time of the season. But the problem with the NBA is a few of the front runners have been injured.
Yeah,
Joker, uh, the kid in OKC, he's been injured. If you want to stretch a little bit, Steph, he's been injured. Um, and then you have to look at Anthony Davis, not Anthony Davis, um, Anthony Edwards.
yeah.
Then you have to look at Anthony Edwards and see if he's capable of being MVP. Luka Doncic, probably coming into the season, was an MVP favorite.
That's every year for him though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You got to throw his name in there because maybe a favorite coming into the season. But it's kind of hard to say who the NBA MVP is going to be this season. This might be a year that they can sneak Wimby
I was just
in.
gonna say that. Yeah, they've been talking about it.
Yeah, they can sneak Wimby to be the top player, the NBA MVP, and I would compare that to Derrick Rose's MVP.
Uh, the only
Derrick
difference,
Rose is the youngest MVP of all time, right? He's the youngest
yeah,
MVP. I don't know how old
it was
Wimby is right now.
his third season, I think, when he won. He won Rookie of the Year, All Star, MVP. That was his trajectory.
Yeah,
Uh, Wemby, he's definitely in the conversation. It kind of gets masked because they throwing out this face of the league talk, and
yeah,
he's definitely
yeah.
in there. And if they really want to expedite that, if he get MVP, then we
This would be the
already
perfect.
there.
This would be the
We
perfect
already there.
opportunity to do it
Yeah,
because coming out of All Star Weekend, Anthony Edwards was the MVP, but they made sure that they let us know that Wemby
when we
set the
set the
tone.
tone. Yep.
So I can see that. I can see Wemby being MVP. This might be a good year to sneak him in, market the hell out of him, and stuff like that. And it'll probably be the first. If it was to happen, probably be the first of many. I think he does have the ability. If not so this year, most definitely in the future. But I think this is a good year to kind of sneak Wemby in. I don't think the fan base would be too in an uproar because he's really set a tone for the Spurs. He's not shy about his opinions. A matter of fact, I think most recently he said we got the best team in the world. He considered the Spurs the best team in the world, and he should feel that way. And with them putting the microphone in his face, and he's giving those type of quotes. And if he's going to play that well, I don't think they have to get. I think they can get if they can get 2 rounds. If the San Antonio Spurs can win 2 rounds of NBA playoff basketball, and the MVP race will probably be decided by then because it usually is by then. But Wemby, I think I'm gonna call Wemby the favorite to be
Yeah,
MVP this year.
yeah. I'm going Wemby as well. Just looking at the standings, the talk that we've been hearing. SGA already got his, and remember SGA was up, I think, like 3 years, and then he finally got it because Jokic was playing out of his mind. Um, yeah, I think they really ready to hand this torch over to Wimby and let him run and let him be the guy.
I'm gonna throw another name at you. The kid in Detroit.
Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been hearing talk for him. I hear a lot of Kendrick Perkins pushing his name though, but
Okay.
um, I think it does the league. It's more beneficial for the league for Wimby to get it now.
Yes.
Cade Cunningham.
Exactly. Even with Detroit having the ability to play deeper into the playoffs, but like I said, I think the MVP race will be decided by then. Most definitely, it usually is. Um, Detroit, Boston have an opportunity to make uh, pretty decent runs in the playoffs. Just some things I was kind of considering before we went on tonight, because, like I said, this time of the year we usually have a beat on these things. The college player of the year, and we get some buzz around Wemby with the NBA MVP for 2026. Um, it's a couple of matchups tonight. We just talked about a few teams. OKC is in New York in Madison Square Garden to play the Knicks. The Hornets are in Boston to play the Celtics. Jazz at Philly. Trailblazers at the Grizzlies. One thing I want to report is young kid by the name of Jason Kent. Jason Kent. Remember a couple years ago when Indiana State made that NIT run, they played some really good basketball, and they didn't make the NCAA tournament because I think they got knocked off in their conference tournament. But they made a really good run in the NIT. And I can't remember if they won at NIT or not. But Jason Kent was a big part of that team, the Indiana State team. They were probably the most successful season that the Indiana State Sycamores had since Larry Bird.
I
And
vaguely remember that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember.
last year, Jason Kent transferred to Texas. And the reason why I'm bringing up Jason's name is because Jason, I think he's a junior, if I'm not mistaken. But his dad, I had the privilege of working with his dad, and now he's a Portland Trailblazer. He was playing on the Trailblazers G League team. He's now has a two-way contract with the Portland Trailblazers. Jason Kent, look him up. I think 6'8", 6'9", small forward, can fill it up. Probably a pretty good defender, really strong kid. I had the privilege of watching him play in high school. I didn't get a chance to watch him live in college, but if I had just to describe his game and his makeup for the NBA is that he's going to be a perfect glue guy that could probably do some things on any given night. He can score a little bit. He could probably defend a little bit, but he's getting an opportunity. I guess a dream come true. Jason Kent, via Indiana State, and now then he played 1 year at Texas with the Longhorns, and now he's with the Portland Trailblazers on a two-way deal. And I want to mention his name because I work with the kid's dad. He's getting an opportunity to play, getting an opportunity to fulfill a dream, make an NBA roster. He played in with that I can't remember what that Rip City.
Rip City, what do they call it? Rip City Remix.
Yeah, Rip City Remix. He was playing with one of my former players at that time, Jermaine Cousinard.
I
Jermaine
remember that name.
has,
Yeah,
yeah, Jermaine has since been moved to the Memphis Hustle. So I'm gonna drop some names now. You know what I'm saying? If you know them, you might as well pop your collar and everybody, let them know you know a couple superstars. So I'm just gonna drop them names on you. So Jason Kent is getting opportunities on a two-way deal with the Trailblazers. And my man Jermaine Cousinard, he went into history, he went into the record books, Pac-12, I think against his old school in the tournament a couple years ago against South Carolina. I think he had like 38, 40 points in the first round of the tournament, and put his name in the record books on the last year of the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was realigning too.
yeah, I know. They just taking a couple years off, but they ain't dissolved.
Yeah, they realigning. This came to my attention. I was watching Gonzaga and St. Mary's. St. Mary's, that was one of the biggest matchups late Saturday night. If you didn't get a chance to check it out. Gonzaga and St. Mary's always a classic matchup.
Yep.
And St. Mary's pretty much handled it. It was played at St. Mary's. And they handled Gonzaga, but that's when I got whim of this, and it kind of brought to my attention because we had heard the mention of the Pac-12 like real similar, but the Gonzaga's, I think they're the Bulldogs,
Just
Zags, the Bulldog.
Zag.
I think they I don't know. Gonzaga's going to the Pac-12 now.
Yeah,
So
I know
they'll
that.
be part of the Pac-12. I'm not sure of all the teams in the Pac-12.
They getting a football team too, right? Didn't I hear that? Or
I'm
just
not sure. I mean, that's yet to be seen, but the Pac-12 is real similar, and I guess there'll be a Power Five conference again. We'll be back to Power Five. Right now, we're at Power Four with the Pac-12 busting up USC, UCLA, the Washington Huskies, more traditional teams. Some of them went to the Big Ten. Some of them went to ACC because I think California's in ACC.
Stanford,
I'm
the
still
AC.
getting used to that. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Jason Kent, man. He's getting an opportunity to play with the Portland Trailblazers, and we getting ready for March Madness. I want to mention him. A couple other matchups in the NBA. The Hawks, Jonathan Kaminga, one of the guys we talked about, have a chance to see him uh, against the Bucks tonight. And the other ESPN is that OKC. Uh, the first matchup, OKC. We minutes away from that tip off actually. OKC in New York. That's the other ESPN matchup. And then Atlanta Hawks will get a chance to look at Jonathan Kaminga tonight, going up against Giannis. Giannis is back for the Bucks, I think. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. I want to
His
believe.
last 20 games with the Bucks or so.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting summer for Giannis. He missed out on some. If the Bucks don't keep him, Giannis missed out on some big bucks. Um, the Pacers take on the Clippers tonight, and I think that rounds up action in the NBA.
Yeah,
And I want to look
it's
at
a
some.
light night tonight.
Yeah, I want to look at some college matchups too. like I say, we in the end. We coming down to the home stretch with the college matchups. I talked about Jason Kent being a former Texas Longhorn. Texas going up against Arkansas. Arkansas, number 20 in the country. Really good guard.
A cup.
Yeah, man, he's creeping up on the draft. In the draft expectations. Um, it's kind of hard. We talked about Braden Smith. I think Cuff's game translate to the NBA, but just his size alone. I mean, so many of these guys in the NBA and in college basketball, especially at the guard position, we have a tendency to see them play extremely well, in college. Some of the smaller guards, and they get to the NBA, and we kind of lose them.
Yeah,
And I compare it to the quarterback position in the NFL with college quarterbacks ending up in the right system and getting an opportunity. And Cuff is one of those guys. I think he'll get drafted, but will he get the opportunity? I compare his situation to Dillingham, the kid that was drafted into Minnesota. Now he's a Chicago Bull. Just get an opportunity to go out on the floor and play. You know what I mean?
it depends on how the organization set up and what they path
Yeah,
forward is. That and it's sad because it's a lot of guys that we know that can go and get buckets and was legit hoopers, but they just ended up in the
yeah,
wrong place. And that's the story. And you can say across professional sports, you
yeah.
got to be in the system and the organization where they, really think highly of you and putting you in positions to be productive. Because, guys we call them bums, just as we just sitting there watching, they'll go to Export Fitness and run the whole day.
Uh, I told a coworker that years ago, and I told him, I say, man, listen, we talk around the water cooler, we talk on the lunch breaks, and we talk about these NBA players, and I don't really, me and you both, we don't really particularly care for the way they play night in and night out, but there's no questioning they're the best players in the world. We
Yes.
just wish that the style of play there was a little bit more diversity in the style of play. We could, you know, get to see the best of guys playing at their best on all levels of. I don't care if it's defense, mid range, rebounding, shooting the basketball. I just think the NBA was more leaning towards that style of play where we can appreciate those things more so than just scoring. But like you said, the average guy, the 12th, 13th guy, the guy in the suit, the guy in the suit is not dressing the night. He might be on injury reserve. He might be on a two-way contract like Jason Kent.
Jason Kent, yeah.
Jason Kent will go out to the park and bust you up.
That's what I'm saying.
You
If
know what I'm
he on our
saying?
squad, if we go to the Export Fitness, we playing all day. We not
Yeah,
going to
they'll bust you up, man. So, you think your game that tight, put it to the test. I don't know. Maybe you can get in one of these pro-ams. Speaking of that, we talked about talk about the guard from Arkansas,
A cup, yeah.
Cuff.
Yeah.
I thought about Scottie Pippen Jr. Here's a kid that was snuffed by the Lakers. We talk about Jason Kent getting his opportunity on this two-way deal. Scottie Pippen Jr. is a kid that has taken advantage of every opportunity given to him. Yeah, he's Scottie Pippen's son. He's not as tall. He's not the physical. He don't have the physical tools. He's not. He's not. He don't have that size, but he got game. He definitely got game, and he's one of the kids that's taking advantage of every opportunity, and he's really getting an opportunity to play with the Grizzlies. With is Morant hasn't Morant's still out, right?
I don't know what y'all doing. I don't. I
I think
thought
they
y'all was gonna get traded, and then I ain't heard
yeah.
nothing else about y'all.
And with the absence of Ja Morant, and then they traded um what's the kid name? They traded him to Utah, Jalen
Sharon Jackson Jr.
Jaron Jackson.
Yeah,
Scottie Pippen Jr. has taken advantage of every opportunity that he's gotten, no matter if it was summer league basketball, G League basketball. Now he's night in and night out competing on a high level in NBA. You know, it's a great story, and you can legitimately say he's there because of his ability to play the game, not just because Scottie Pippen is his dad. The boy can ball, and with me coaching kids, I really appreciate his journey, and it's really a good example that could be set for most kids when you come across tough times. Don't get me wrong. Now he had the name to carve out, maybe giving him the warrant the opportunities a little bit more, but he most definitely, when they call his name, he's most definitely stepped up to the plate and played extremely well on every level. Like I said, from summer league, maybe even to G League, and now night in and night out with the Grizzlies, playing in the NBA. Arkansas in Texas. That game will be tipping off soon. Uh, that's one of the top. So that's a top 20 matchup.
tonight, yeah, we got
Purdue, we talked about.
uh,
They have Northwestern and Baylor at Houston.
that's pretty much it. Miami at SMU. Miami's ranked number
Yeah.
22, and then
Yes.
St. Louis is ranked number
Yes.
25. They taking on
Yeah.
Loyola. So it's
Yeah.
light on the NBA front and the college front as
Yeah.
far as top 25 matchups go. But if you like me, I turn on CBS Sports Network. They always got some West Coast games playing, so it's not light in that sense, but as far as marquee teams and the blue bloods and all that, it's pretty mid tonight.
Oh, it's gonna crank up this Saturday though.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna crank up this Saturday,
and
and then
then
it's gonna get
Tuesday.
hot and heavy next week. It's the calm before the storm. This is a good night to check out some NBA if that's what you want to do. Got some good matchups. I'm certainly going to take out the opportunity to watch some NBA basketball tonight. But it's been good. Hey, we can't go off tonight. Two things, and I'm gonna let you go. Drew Dahlman, Chicago Bears center, has retired. Has
Yeah,
announced his retirement. That's a big. That could be a big blow. We have to see how the Bears recover from that. And this some would say if this was the perfect time for him to do so before the free agency period comes up, and whether or not this is gonna how it affects the cap and all that type of stuff, the free agency period, and then the draft later on down the line. So I just want to make that known. Shout out to my man Will the Thrill Bates. I text Will early. I told him I'm 82%, and I'm 82% back, and I told him the other 18% is up to Caleb, and Caleb has to win me over to fill me up to that 100. And then he sent me back. He says all good. It's just good to have my boy back. So, it's. I don't have. I'm not all in emotionally, but I'm 82% in. But that was a story that came up that most definitely should can impact the Bears in this free agency period, and then going down the stretch into the trade into the draft. Um, and then it's crazy because I'm coming up with all these thoughts as we get ready to wrap up. But the scouting combine and all that type of stuff. I don't know if you kept up with that. I didn't go down to the combine. I just couldn't bring myself. The buzz wasn't big enough, and then I had some high school basketball games. We had a couple games ourselves. We had to focus in and be ready to win. And tournament time in the high school in the state of Indiana is kicked off. So I had to focus on those things, and I just couldn't bring myself to go down to the NFL Combine this season. And But some interesting things that came out of that. As we get closer to the NFL draft, we can talk about some of them things. Anything from the NFL combine that stuck out to you?
Not really from the combine. I was
We
kind
had some record breaking things go on, like in the 40. I can't remember those guys' names right now. That guy's name. We had a couple brothers that did pretty well. And we had I think that quarterback from Arkansas. I think he had a really good I think he had a really fast 40.
oh no, you talking. Oh yeah, I can't remember his
I
name right
think his first name is Tavon.
now.
I'm
Arkansas.
not for sure.
Uh,
But if you can pull that name up, he had a pretty good 40 time down in at the combine. And then later on, as we get closer um to the draft, we could talk about
Taylor
that
Green.
stuff. Tavon,
Taylor
what?
Green.
Taylor Green. Taylor
Yeah.
Green, yeah, quarterback from Arkansas. Now, skill set is to be, you know, still have a lot of growing, a lot of development to be done. But that his he was really impressive with his 40 time at the combine, and like what they call it, the the
The underwear
uh,
Olympics.
the underwear Olympics. You took it, yeah. I was looking for that, but there it is. He key, he's one of the key guys coming out of the underwear Olympics, and now we getting ready for the pro days. One guy that's probably being talked about is the kid out of Alabama, the quarterback, with the
Tyson.
Cardinals announcing that they're going to be releasing
Kyler.
Kyler Murray, and then Tyler Simpson has been. I believe he said he wouldn't mind playing for the Arizona Cardinals. So maybe he's trying to get his name to go up on that board and get find himself a home in Arizona. Um, and then David Montgomery gets traded to the Texans. So
I
you know,
missed that one. I
oh
more
yeah,
so, yeah, I was
yeah,
more so hearing, with the Dolman news, and now we got a need that we got to fill with the center position, and the Kyler Murray news, just the potential of him going to the Vikings, which I automatically think that's an upgrade over JJ McCarthy, because, like I said, been saying I don't know what JJ McCarthy is, but Kyler Murray is a better NFL quarterback right now than JJ McCarthy. So just bringing
we
him
we're
into
gonna
the
have, we're gonna have an opportunity to see that.
yeah,
Some
that's
would
what
say that Minnesota's ready to move off JJ McCarthy. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
gonna be
don't blame.
really interesting. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
I don't
really
blame him.
interesting.
But as
Um,
us taking the North though, I just
mhm,
been kind of paying
yeah,
attention to what's going on and what we gonna do and the holes we got to fill so we can keep the North. So
yeah. Now, last but not least, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to tell me about your experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Penn had an opportunity to play
oh
ball on the NBA at the Chicago United at the United Center
yeah,
on the regulation floor.
yeah,
And your high school total, your career high in high school at Nordonia in Ohio
yeah.
was how many?
37.
37. On one of your what's the name of that school? Nordonia, right?
You had it right. Yeah, that's
Nordonia
my
Knights.
junior
What
year.
what was that nickname?
Nordonia Knights.
Okay, okay. Okay, the Nordonia Knights out of Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I think you came out a couple years, just a few years before LeBron, right?
LeBron is like a year younger than me.
Okay,
So we
yeah.
actually, my freshman year, not to my own horn, but I played varsity 4 years. But the
Mm.
freshman year, we played St. Vincent St. Mary's, but LeBron was in 8th grade, so I didn't get a
Okay,
chance
so
to play
you
LeBron.
you was 1 year removed
Yeah,
from going against the greatest free agent of all time.
1 year, 1 year.
Yeah.
And
But you had an opportunity to play at the United Center. Did it bring back memories? Did you bring back? Did you have one of your Nordonia nights?
no, I did not. It was not a 37-point night because this is the first time I've played definitely since Woods has been alive, and Woods about to turn 3 in March. So it's been a minute since I played. I got me some buckets. It was a group of people out there. There was the guys that like I ain't played that in a while. I don't want to get hurt or embarrass myself. but I
Yeah.
want to enjoy the experience. I was in that group. It was some people out there. It was like, man, you're not getting a 10-day. I don't know why you playing so hard.
Hey
And then
man, you playing at the United Center on the NBA regulation
on the
floor.
NBA court, yes.
You don't know if this is your last basketball game. You don't know if the Bulls gonna give you a call later on.
And it was like three
You
guys
gotta
out
go
there.
hard.
Yeah, it was three guys out there going that hard, sweating out the shirts that we got, to
Yeah.
play like a pro show. I
So
wasn't in that category. I was just trying to give me a couple buckets in the house that Michael Jordan played in, Scottie Pippen, all the greats that we grew up watching. I was on the floor and I got to see it, look up and see the banners. They just got Derrick Rose up there, to see Mike up there, to see even the hockey banners. It was cool to see. But once you was on the
yeah.
court, bro, it felt like a basketball court. It didn't feel like, man, this feel like I'm in the gym and it's big. It felt like a regular basketball court.
So you didn't feel like you was on the stage.
No, I felt like I was on a regular basket. I mean, and they had the scoreboard was on, the score tape, all that stuff was lit up. It just was an empty arena. When
Yeah.
we ran on the floor, they played the Bulls music. When we ran on the floor, they took us through some NBA workouts for like the first hour, a pro level workout. Played some 3-on-3, then we played 5-on-5. But it was like, if you score, you stay on and you come off. And then they already had the defense set up on the other end. So, but like I said, I got me some buckets, so I was cool with getting me some buckets. I didn't hurt myself. We was in the locker room, not the Bulls locker room, but just a locker
You was
room.
dressed for the early 2000s.
The biggest thing I had to contemplate was, man, I'm going to play in the United States. Do I wear some mics? Do I play in some Jordans out here? But I was like, no, I really want to try and really play, and I ain't trying to mess up my Jordans out
Yeah.
there. So yeah,
Yeah.
I played in some Paul George.
How did this opportunity? Because it seemed like when that was one of the days we were going to go on, but you had a last. This sounded like something that came up at the last minute. How did the opportunity present itself for you to get this experience?
This was through Tasha and her running group, what she had going on. She just asked me, did I want to go play basketball at the United Center? I wasn't thinking too much on it. I was like, yeah, whatever. And
Yeah.
then she started like, did you check your email? I sent you the information, all this kind of stuff. Like, you got to be
Yeah.
there at 6. You can't be late. And that's when I started to realize, like, okay, this might be a real
This real.
big deal thing. And then when I got there, they took us to the East Atrium, the locker room, all that experience. I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
it was a great experience. Like I said, I got to play in the arena where my sports hero played at. So it was pretty cool. And I got some buckets.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't now who attended with you? Was you
It was
and
just me as solo. I got
see,
some.
because I was wondering, I'm like, well, your mom sent me some pictures, and I'm
Yeah.
like, why didn't he? And I'm surprised he didn't have. I told her, I said, I'm surprised he didn't have no video.
When they told us we couldn't take our phones out on the floor,
Okay,
and I
I
was like,
kind of
I should
figured
have
that.
tried it. Yeah, because they was gonna. I'm in here. They was gonna just say, probably put your phone up.
Yeah.
But they had
So
like
so
a
so there was no way
videographer.
you could have had someone else do this.
I don't know. But they had somebody because it was a Michelob Ultra event, so they had some cameras in there, filming and taking pictures and
Okay.
stuff. So that's how
Uh-huh.
I got the footage I was able to send. But
All
I
right.
wish I'd have took my phone out there to get some more stuff.
Okay. Well, yeah, man, it's good chop up. Had opportunity to get back on. It's big, and I just really want to get on before it kicks off next week because it's on next week, man. College basketball is gonna kick into full
Hey,
swing.
night. Yeah.
Conference tournaments getting ready to get kicked off, tipped off rather next week. Duke and Carolina probably the biggest matchup this weekend, and you have an opportunity to go out and play on the United Center floor. Jason Kent get an opportunity to be a Portland Trailblazer. A lot has happened since the last time we spoke, so have an opportunity to come on tonight. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, oh, I did. When you walk past the scores table and whatever, because waiting to get on the floor. I did ask them, "Hey, y'all got that Michael Jordan powder back there? Because I really need that." They started laughing. I said, "No, I'm trying to live out my dreams for real. I'm being serious."
I heard that. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, man, a hell of an opportunity to be able like I'm about to go play at the United. So I'm like, well, hell, watch the game is canceled. Cancel for tonight, boy. Because I wish I could have just went to watch you play that night. But it's just, I'm pretty sure it was a great experience. The and I always question, and I try and tell kids about shooting at NBA regulation three. How many regulation threes did you attempt?
One from the top and one from the side. But this is what I did. You know how you start close and you work your way out, so it didn't feel like it was that far. That corner
Mm-hmm.
three is short, and I see why everybody shoots them.
The corner three.
Yeah, it's short. That was like that felt like a regular jump shot.
Okay.
But
But you get along that arc,
that top,
front of that
yeah,
rim,
it's a way.
it's pretty deep.
Yeah.
That's where the strength and conditioning comes in at. Especially after you run up and down that court a couple times, hey. So, this is a great experience for yourself. And it's been great tonight, getting you on tonight. And now we can get ready for the NCAA tournament. And who knows if the NBA after that can tweak our interest. But we all about March Madness now. If things happen in the NFL, we could talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But right now it's March Madness. We getting ready. I don't really have a favorite, but once that
I'm
thing
going with
tip
the
off on
Wolverines.
that, huh?
I'm going with the Wolverines. I got to.
Oh, yo, you should. Well, as you should. As you should. As you should. One of the top teams in the country. I do like Michigan, but I just don't know who to pick in this tournament. I guess the next week can give me some type of indication. Because, like I said again, in the Big 12, they just beating up on each other. I think BYU done fell completely out of the top 25.
They have.
And
Yep.
the Big 12 they just been beating up on each other. And a couple weeks ago, I probably thought the Big 10 was the best conference, but I don't know, man. The Big 12, they doing their thing in the Big 12 right now. Michigan and Duke having that midseason matchup in that neutral site was a good matchup for both teams now.
Yeah.
A good test for both teams. So, March Madness, check it out. We getting ready. All those kids participating in the high school state tournaments. It's March Madness for you as well. We out.
We out.